since you're, as a welcome back, would you lead us, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You'll remain standing, and our unofficial pastor, if you will lead us in the invocation.
Our dear and gracious Heavenly Father, we ask that you would join with us tonight and lead and guide us with your graceful spirit. That you would help us to make good decisions for the betterment of this city and the people who live within it and who come to visit us here. Father, we ask that you would have a special blessing on those who have served and who did so and lost their lives in the service of this country. To be with their families and to lift them up. To remember those who came before. Father, we ask that you would also have a blessing on the city as we push forward and work through this COVID-19 issue, that our residents and our guests would be seriously taking note of what to do, that our businesses could come back and thrive, and that you would always be with us. And I say this, I ask for this blessing in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Councilmember Furdock. Please be seated. Okay, meeting procedures. Well, we are operating under these new meeting guidelines. I'll explain our meeting procedures for those of you who are not here. Agenda items will be open for public comment before final action is taken. Citizens wishing to comment on any agenda item should email the clerk, city clerk, or submit their comment through our town hall portal. Comments received will be read aloud by either myself or a staff member during the agenda item. If public comment is received on an item not on the agenda within the jurisdiction of the City Council, that comment will be read by either myself or a staff member during public comment for up to 3 minutes. Because we're operating in a virtual setting, I will call on my colleagues once, well, all of us are here, so we can dispense with that part. But I'm still going to go through the roll call vote procedure. I kind of like that. If remote participant encounters technical difficulties, I'll ask that we continue discussing the item. Again, I think that doesn't apply to us tonight because we're all here. So, adoption of the agenda. Mr. City Manager Flora, is there any changes or modifications from you?
I don't believe we'll have a presentation of adoptable animals tonight. That's the only change.
Still believe we do have?
I do believe we will not have.
Not have, all right. So noted. Council members, do you have any things that you want to add? Any changes? No? Nope. Okay, seeing none. Okay, then I'll accept a motion to accept the agenda, adopt the agenda.
I move to adopt.
Motion's been made by Councilmember Harris and seconded by Councilmember Overton. Could we have a roll call, Madam Deputy City Clerk?
Councilmember Furlock?
Aye.
Councilmember Harris?
Aye.
Councilmember Overton? Vice Mayor Scruton?
Aye.
Mayor Freeman?
Aye. Motion passes. Okay, we will dispense with item number 1, presentation of May's adoptable dogs, because apparently we don't have any here tonight. So we'll move on to public comment. Public comment will be accepted via email and through the city's town hall portal prior to the start of the meeting. Each public comment emailed to the city clerk will be read aloud by the mayor or a member of the staff for up to 3 minutes, or will be displayed on a screen. Public comment, emails, and town hall submissions which are received after the beginning of the meeting will not be included in the record. Madam Deputy Clerk, have you received any public comments?
I have not.
Okay, thank you. Seeing none, we will move on to the consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the council or audience requests otherwise, or if staff has requested a change under adoption of the agenda, in which case the item will be removed for separate consideration. Any item so removed will be taken up following the motion to approve the consent agenda. Does any council member wish to change or look at any consent, have any consented item pulled for separate consideration?
No.
No, no, no. Mr. City Manager, all's good with you? No problems with you? Okay, I'll now ask then that we have a vote on accepting the consent agenda as presented.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move that we accept the consent agenda as submitted.
Yeah, was
Second.
you? All right. Motion was made by Councilmember Purdock and seconded by Vice Mayor Slotin. Could I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Purdock,
Aye.
Councilmember Harris,
Aye.
Councilmember Overton,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Slugan,
Aye.
Mayor Kramer.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay. Then we shall now move on to our item number, our first business item, number 7. And again, before that, during this meeting, if there are any comments from the public, again, same procedure, either via email or through the city's town hall portal. If you'd like to comment remotely, please follow the protocols of sending the comments again to our city clerk or to the town hall portal. Identify the subject you wish to comment on the subject line. Each comment emailed will be read aloud by the mayor, by myself, or a member of staff for up to 3 minutes. Emailed comments and town hall submissions on each item will be accepted after the start of the meeting, but before the mayor announces the public comment that the item is closed. Items submissions received after the closing of public comment for each item will not be included in the record. So again, moving on now to item number 7. Mr. City Manager?
City Attorney Jones is going to present this item.
Okay, City Attorney Jones, welcome back.
It's really nice to be here, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. The last city council meeting, if I take that back, at the April 16th city council meeting, the city council voted to enact an emergency ordinance related to the cultivation of industrial hemp. That I mentioned at the time only lasts for 45 days, so we're coming up to that 45th day shortly. And so what we're bringing before the council is a recommendation to extend that. By statute, you can extend it, it's an odd time, but it's 10 months and 15 days. We would ask that you extend it for that full period of time. We hope that we will have a regulation in place well before that, but it is going to take some time. We're going to have an ad hoc committee set up. It's got to go through planning commission and then come back to city council for a first and second reading of that ordinance. So I'd recommend that we extend it for the full period of time. That would hold in place that no commercial cultivation of industrial hemp can take place in the city of Clear Lake during that time frame. As outlined in the memo and previously, we think that is for the best of the community at this point. It does require a 4/5 vote to pass as well, so we'd be asking for that. And if there's any questions or comments from the city council, I'm happy to answer them at this time.
Are there any questions? I'll start with Councilmember Purdock.
No questions at this time, Mayor.
Councilmember Harris.
No questions.
Vice Mayor, or, excuse me, Councilmember Overton.
No, thank you for bringing this to us so sooner.
And Vice Mayor Slotin.
None, no comment.
All right. Is there any public input or comment?
No, I have not received any.
Okay. Seeing none, I will close public discussion, bring it back for action. Oh,
Are you ready for a motion?
I'm ready if everyone else is.
I'd like to make the motion that on ordinance number 241-2020, an urgency ordinance establishing a moratorium on industrial hemp cultivation in the city of Clear Lake.
Second that.
Motion has been made by Councilmember Overton and seconded by Vice Mayor Slotin. May we have a roll call, Madam Deputy Clerk?
Councilmember Purdock,
Aye.
Councilmember Harris,
Aye.
Councilmember
Aye.
Vice Mayor Slugin,
Aye.
Mayor Kramer.
Aye, motion passes. All right, well, we're moving right along. City manager and council member reports. Mr. City Manager?
Just only a couple things. Most of our time over the last couple of weeks has been occupied in trying to prepare a budget for next fiscal year. So we're coming along with that. We've talked about this a few times, but we're not in the same position as many other cities in California because I think of a variety of reasons, but it's still going to be a very tight budget, and it's requiring a lot of effort to make sure that it's structurally balanced. So I want to thank in particular Administrative Services Director Swanson and Chief White for really stepping up at this time when we don't have a finance director right now. And so the three of us have been putting a lot of extra work in to make sure this is happening. So just a small point of interest, I did receive gas tax projections from the state today, and looks like about a 9% decrease over the current fiscal year is what's projected for next year. So, significant drop, but not devastating. One of the most exciting things that's going on around the city right now, as you're all aware, is the Austin Park project is nearing completion. So the playground equipment, I believe the installation was completed today. The mulching will be installed maybe tomorrow, early next week, and the bandstand is nearing completion. We finally got the missing part in, so now they just have to work on the metal roofing. They're also going to strip the roof off of the bathroom and put metal roofing on that at the same time, so that'll match. Bathroom has been stripped out on the inside. Paving of the parking lots and a section on Ewell Avenue that actually was never paved and has been cut out and prepared. That's going to happen next Friday, as long as there's no other hiccups. So, and then just a couple other things. The council's aware that issued a directive today related to providing businesses flexibility in operating with social distancing in the city of Clear Lake. So this would allow businesses to apply for a no-cost temporary use permit, which would allow businesses to expand into either public or other privately owned space. One example would be providing additional outdoor dining, say in their parking lot or on a nearby lot, so that they can accommodate more people under the social distancing requirements that are in place. And then we have a special meeting for next week on Wednesday to approve a purchase agreement on the Austin Resort property across the street. The general plan conformity report on that was approved by the Planning Commission earlier this week, and the Oversight Board is scheduled to consider the approval on June 8th, and that's my report.
Thank you, City Manager Flora. Councilmember Purdock.
Mr. Mayor, I have nothing particularly to report, but I would like to take up a fundraising effort to replace the eagle on the top of our flag. Looks like it had been through battle and may not have been triumphant. We're missing a wing and a half.
Have we priced it out?
We should be able to find a replacement.
Apparently was wounded there.
They sell them. So
Yeah.
Very observant.
on Memorial Day, I think,
I think
would like to
we-
get that taken care of.
Speaking of Memorial Day, are the flags going to be, I know you were,
You had asked me to contact a member of the board for the Lower Lake Cemetery District. I did so. I reached out. I was told that the Avenue of the Flags would go forward. Unfortunately, because Clear Lake no longer has a chartered Boy Scout troop or scouting troop, they wouldn't be involved, but I do believe the Avenue of the Flags is taking the lead on that.
thank you.
Per board member Menina.
Thank you. Councilmember Harris.
Nothing real significant. I just want to go over a couple of things that have been going on in the community. Obviously, you see a whole bunch of banners going up with our graduating seniors this year. I've been participating in that alongside Chief Cepeda and my wife today. And also the food handout through Canocta Unified School District. There's multiple locations. All the super stops around our community are providing food for the local children. And you can just stop there and pick up some food on the designated days that it's being provided. I do the handouts on Wednesdays at the Lower Lake Fire Station 65. One project that I'm working on right now is the youth center's basketball courts. They're actually a fairly utilized basketball court. Quite often people are down there playing, and I'm working with a local paving company to have them resealed and repainted so that we could have formidable clean basketball courts for our citizens. And then the last thing is I did have some time to communicate with the president of South Shore Little League about the delayed season. There is an effort to allow the season to move forward as soon as it seems feasible to do so. But given the situation with this COVID-19, it's very difficult to progress in a way that doesn't really become very unusual and unique. The requirements that they're asking down in the valley are very strange. Only 3 kids can be in the dugout at a time, and they have to sanitize bats between use, and there's just kind of a laundry list of things, so it's very convoluted and complicated at this point. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully we can move forward with the Little League season. I know a lot of kids look forward to that. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Harris. Just as an added note on those meals, when there are surplus leftover ones, they get taken to the senior center and distributed to the seniors, so none of that food is wasted.
Absolutely.
Councilmember Overton.
Which is just exactly what I was going to say. We appreciate that the school does keep us in, and those will be going out. They didn't go out today, but they will be going out to our seniors tomorrow, so we get those right back out. So also, I don't really have anything except for some updates on, remember that the Redwood Empire Food Bank is distributing out food more often, and people can go to any of them. There's no requirements for those like there normally is, so anybody can go get the food from there. So I'm hoping that nobody is really going hungry. You know, that's essential for us to make sure. I did have a question. One other thing. The basketball court, there used to be the forms to paint the basketball court at the youth center. I hope they still have those, because we purchased those to make sure that the court stayed up nice. So they might want to, I hope they still have those, they were in the storage shed. So they might want to look if they need those. On the eatery, if they're eating, Alan, I was just curious about, with this regulation with the health department that we have to wear masks with out in public, it didn't say anything or stay 6 feet apart. So is there some kind of wording in there that we might have to contact if we're going to let them use, say, their parking lot to have more seating outside? Does the health department need to be contacted on that? And so maybe some clarification? Because according to what I read, and I posted it at my center, it does not have any leeway for when you're supposed to be wearing your mask outside. So I'm just, I mean, I love the idea that you brought up. I think that's great because we need to open up, but I just think there might be some talk with the health department to open up the restaurants, because according to what's on the,
You mean the inside of the restaurants?
no, just if we haven't let it have outside seating like you were,
Well, that's allowed currently, starting today, to have outdoor dining as long as they meet social distancing requirements. So if a restaurant or other business wants to operate under that scenario, there's a plan and some social distancing guidelines that Public Health has put together. Those forms are on Public Health's website under coronavirus and businesses. You can download the forms there. The process is that you fill those forms out, and then you basically just sign the form saying that you've agreed to do all this and you're taking these measures in your business. Public Health is not actually reviewing and approving the forms once they're completed, but you're expected to have them at your business available for review if any member of the public wants to see it or Public Health needs to. And then just sort of as an added measure, once that is done, you can come here to City Hall, to the Clear Lake Chamber, the Lake County Chamber, or Lakeport City Hall. And we have, in a partnership with the EDC and Public Health, created some We Care pledge window signage, and so it's just a visible representation that you can put in your store window that shows that you have taken those steps. And, you know, it should be safe for the public to conduct business there. So that's kind of the process currently.
Unfortunately, we didn't get that out there in time for the weekend holiday.
Well, we've had the signs ready. We've just been waiting on the county to get the form prepared, submitted, and approved by the state. So, yeah, initially, the intent of public health was to not allow businesses to take this next step until after Memorial Day weekend, and you may have seen that there was some interest from others to see that happens. So yeah, it would have been ideal to have a little bit more time for folks to prepare, but hopefully some of them are able to react quickly and maybe have already had their plans in place and are able to open.
Well, thank you for that update. I appreciate that. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Overton. Vice Mayor Slotin, welcome back again. It's good to be able to hear you in real time.
It's good to be back. I had a couple of meetings. LAFCO, we were continuing to talk about water districts. Their water district boundaries seem to be overlapping in certain places, and there are gaps in it. So it's quite a project trying to figure this out. And LAFCO is in the process of getting all that information together, and again, also looking at the system maps and where we have insufficient fire flows. So it's an ongoing project. We also approved an extension of the Hidden Valley Shopping Center, an extension because the county is, with a lot of lost personnel, has not been able to process that in a timely fashion. Then also, we had a marketing meeting yesterday, and we're working on trying to figure out how to get a mural on the bathrooms here at Austin Park. And we've been working on that and see when we hopefully get that processed and put in there before we have officially opened the park. There is still some concern about all the events, but hopefully we can still have the soapbox derby in September, although that's somewhat debatable if we're able to do that. But this is a good time to get your soapbox ready with the stay in place order. So hopefully some people have been working on it. That's my report. One other thing, and the mayor and I's other hat that we sometimes play, LARCA, we donated some additional monies to the senior centers in Middletown, Clear Lake, and the Oaks, and gave additional money to some of the outreach workers from Adventist Health for food vouchers. So total, I think, I don't know how much we gave away, close to 20,000, I think, by the time we're done.
Well, no, we gave 40,000 original. Well, we're 49 plus another 1,900, so a little over 50,000, almost 51,000. If I get the check to you for signature.
That's my report.
Okay, thank you, Vice Mayor Slotin. And Attorney Jones, you brought up the hemp ad hoc committee. Thank you for reminding me. We need to get that meeting going. Other things have been happening, and quite honestly, it wasn't on the top of my list, but it needs to happen. So I'll work on that. Over the last week or so, we've had our subcommittee for the PSPS meetings had several meetings to formulate letters that will go to the CPUC and to PG&E, expressing our concerns and requests to see what good that might do. And we are meeting tomorrow afternoon. The full committee is meeting to discuss whether they want to sign that or further modify the letters and get those in the mail. Also, I've been having numerous Lake Links board meetings over the last week. We've interviewed 2 different applicants for the job of CEO / mobility manager. One applicant comes from Modesto, but by way or comes from Houston by way of Modesto, more correctly. And then we have a second applicant that's here local in the county, and we're still, we'll be doing a second interview of that second applicant here in a day or two before we make a decision. And last, Bruno Sabatier, Lisa Wilson, and myself this morning stopped by 6 different locally owned businesses and had basically little photo ops, short video that Supervisor Sabatier is going to make into a video. I'm waiting to see how good I look in that. But basically, that message is shop local, and it's to be in conjunction with the opening of our local businesses. The businesses we actually visited were Foods Etc., Marie's Feed, Griffin Furniture, Bob's Vacuum, Nest Jewelers, and the Carpet Man. So we kind of got a mix of different types of businesses. They all appreciated our coming, and hopefully it'll do some good for them. And that's about all I have. So, future agenda items. Anyone have anything?
No, sir.
Nothing?
I think our city manager know which one I've been wanting
Yeah,
to, so.
Vice Mayor Slotin had mentioned a code enforcement stat report, and Chief White's going to give that at our next meeting. He had requested that, well, we agreed that right now we need to get the budget on track, and so we'll have that at the next meeting.
Okay. Thank you, Vice Mayor Slotin. Thank you, City Manager Flora. And as always, I knew that we couldn't get. Chief White.
Good evening. I just had a question for the council on that item. Would it be helpful, we can present the statistics, but I get kind of the sense that it would be good to just do a brief overview of our processes of kind of how we handle cases. Is that something you're interested in, or do you just want the numbers?
I would like to see both.
I'd like to see the processes.
Okay, thank you.
All right. No more future agenda items. We will now move to closed session.
Yeah,
I'm good.
we're good here.
It's good seeing everybody.
Yes.
Hey, Alan.